Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Doctor Who review. Today we're back to talk about Village of the Angels, the Flux, episode 4, series 13, whatever you want to call it. Before we get into the main review, I thought I'd like to mention a few things. This is not the only content I make every week now, especially in the Doctor Who stuff. So every Sunday you get my initial reaction review here on YouTube. Hello, this is an initial reaction review. And then every Wednesday we get a full 40-50 minute breakdown of my thoughts and theories and all that sort of stuff that you guys can get directly involved with on my Spotify podcast, Spill Your Beans. You can check that out, linked in the description. Every single Wednesday, I take your guys' thoughts from Twitter, I come up with my own theories, I give myself a chance to rewatch the episode, and then talk about how I really feel about it, breaking down all the little bits and bats. So if you want a more in-depth Doctor Who review, the first 3 episodes from this series are on the podcast now, and you can go and check that out. So we got Doctor Who review on Sunday, a full in-depth breakdown and review on Wednesday on Spill Your Beans, and then on Fridays we have film reviews on Spill Your Beans as well. I recently did The Room with the wonderful Fettin, who's in the Doctor Who community, as well as the week before we did Ghostbusters with Stephen McCullough, who you may recognise from the Doctor Who community as Vote Saxon 07. So we do a lot of great film reviews with a lot of brilliant people on there, as well as Doctor Who stuff on there. So if you're not already following that podcast, please feel free to go and check it out. I'd really appreciate it. I've also got a brand new Patreon page which we've just recently revamped, which is also linked in the description. You can get early access content, you can get free commission stuff, you can get basically some stuff on there. You can go and check that out, linked in the description, to come and help support the channel. Anything and everything that you guys are happy to do to help support me as a content creator and the content that I make, I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Let's get on with the review. Village of the Angels. Okay, where do I even start with this? There's so much that happened. It's really hard to sort of get my head around it. Again, with Flux, I think my initial thoughts, before we get into characters and breaking down all the bits and bats, my initial thoughts on this episode are very conflicted. The first half an hour, or the first sort of half of the episode generally, I have to say I was a little bit disappointed with. Not that I was like, it was bad, because it was good stuff. I think I was just like, man, I guess I really wanted something new from the Weeping Angels and something really different and refreshing. And despite the visuals being incredible, especially that ending, we'll talk about that in a bit, I was really fond of that and the visual style and all that sort of thing. But it was like kind of concepts we've seen before, which isn't a bad thing, but like we've seen, like last week, the angel come out of the phone, the angel come out of the TV. We saw the angel come out of the TV in Flesh and Stone in Time of Angels. So we've had that here. We had it coming out of the paper, which is slightly different, but it's the same sort of effect. You know, we had the angel inside someone's eye effect and that sort of it being inside their brain. Really cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like, it looked really cool. It looked incredible. It's the best way we've seen that. But I will say, just on the record here, despite the fact that I need to give this episode a rewatch to really judge it, because of its inclusion with Flux, because it has to sort of weave all these stories through to next week, you know, it doesn't start as a new episode, it doesn't end as a new episode, it's continuous from the one before and the one after. I will say, with all that included, that it gives me the feeling of looking at this and going, this is probably the worst Weeping Angel episode. It's not a bad thing, but in terms of Weeping Angel stories, Blink is incredible, Flesh and Stone and Time of Angels is phenomenal, Angels Take Manhattan is flawed, but still very good. This is really good. Honestly, I genuinely believe this is a really good Doctor Who episode. However, that's as a Weeping Angel story, I don't think it added anything particularly new and interesting that I was super excited for. Other than visually, I think the visuals were incredible in this episode. They did a really good job of that. But I think there was a lot of stuff going on. I feel there was a lot of ideas thrown at this, and a lot of it worked, but I think there was slightly too much going on, if I'm being honest. And I'm not talking about the stuff about like cutting away to Belle and her story and Vinda, but like the actual stuff in the village. There's a lot of characters, and little things didn't really quite work for me. Like the reveal of the young girl being the old woman, I was like, that's cool, but I was like, it didn't build me up. Like the old woman did nothing throughout most of the episode other than just sort of be in the background and then do her thing. So like I didn't really find that too interesting. What I really did like is the Weeping Angels, like 2 groups of Weeping Angels, one sending them back in time and then the other one wiping them from existence altogether by killing them. That being a new rule for the Weeping Angels was a really interesting idea, and I really like how they did that. And basically just trying to find this one Weeping Angel, so removing an entire village of people to then basically kill them with this sort of extraction idea was kind of an interesting and cool way of doing things. And it has to be said, the visuals in the basement, the stuff with the beach was really cool. Inside Claire's head, I thought Claire as a character was really interesting, but I don't see exactly what they're going to do more with her. I think I was more fascinated by what we saw in episode 1 than where it could go from here, maybe. But you know, we'll see where her story goes. But yeah, let's talk about characters. I think we're getting into that territory now. We'll start with the Doctor. Great performance from Jodie Whittaker here. You can definitely feel Maxine Alderton's imprint on this episode in terms of the writing. It's definitely a lot more snappy, a lot more funny, very natural. Which is great, because I think Jodie really relishes in that sort of stuff. I think that it was... Yeah, it was... I don't know what to say about Jodie. I think the ending was really cool when other Division stuff gets brought up. Now, I'm a fan of the Division. I'm a fan of learning about lore. I'm a fan of learning about canon, all that sort of Doctor Who-y goodness. But what I will say is, I am getting a little bit tired of the Division now, because it's like so much. And it's not a problem. It's just Division Episode 1, Division Episode 3, Division Episode 4. Next week's going to be more Division stuff. Which is fine. That's fine. I'm just a bit like, yeah, I'm not, I don't know, it just, when it was revealed that the Weeping Angels were Division operatives, I was a bit like, oh. I was like, come on. I know the idea is the Division can use anyone and every, you know, whatever. And that's great. I was just a little bit like, oh, I just really wanted like a classic-y Weeping Angel story that somehow connects into the Flux without them being members of the Division. That being said, from the reveal onwards, the way they handled it was really cool. I like one Weeping Angel hiding in someone's brain being chased down by other Weeping Angels. It's a weird idea that shouldn't work, but it really did, and I really quite liked that. I like the idea that this Weeping Angel sold the Doctor out, because it's like, oh, the Division are after you, so now we're gonna, you know, send you back there. And of course, the visual of the Doctor turning into a Weeping Angel is probably one of the most amazing visuals I think I've seen in Doctor Who in a long, long time. Jodie, like, turning into a Weeping Angel, but not turning into a Weeping Angel, getting the wings and then a stone statue of the Doctor. I mean, that is terrifying. And I can't imagine what, you know, Yaz and Dan will be thinking seeing that from the other side of that tear. I think Jodie was brilliant in this. She had a lot to work with, but there's nothing really notable to say about other than what happened with her story. Whenever the Division does get referenced, she's brilliant around it. That sort of scared, panicky, but desperate feeling is really cool. Definitely picks up from last week and gives us like a nice little interesting story, but I feel this is kind of bridging the gap between last week and next week, if you know what I mean. But a cool way to bridge it. It didn't feel like filler. It was really cool stuff. And yeah, Jodie did great. In terms of the companions, let's just kind of group them together, I guess. Because they didn't really do too much in this episode because it wasn't like really focused on them. But I think Yaz and Dan were pretty good in this. I think they did a solid job. Their stuff towards the end was dead interesting. Yeah, thing is, there's not really much to say. They were great, as per. Dan was funny, Yaz is kind of panicky and all over the place, but I like them both. They're not in this much, but the stuff they do get to work with is quite interesting and pretty decent. But basically what this plot did was, because of the way the ending has to happen, they kind of had to remove Yaz and Dan away from the situation so they couldn't interfere with it. So it's cool and it works and it's interesting, but it does have to be said that like it's very obvious that they just weren't necessary for the story, so they just zapped them back in time and had their own little thing with the missing girl. Like, you could take the stuff with the missing girl out, you could take Yaz and Dan out, and the story would basically be almost intact in the nicest way possible. It genuinely would be, because most of the story is about the Doctor, Claire, and Jericho with the Weeping Angels. It could have been a companion-like story. Maybe have a different Weeping Angel thing zap them to the future, because obviously next week's going to be about the Lupari fleet and units, obviously, which we're going to talk about in a bit. So maybe zap them to the future and have some sort of weird stuff there. I don't know. It's just, I couldn't help but feel that they were great in this, but why, you know, what, they didn't do anything. They weren't given enough to do, I think. And I mean that properly this week. It was very much, they just weren't needed in this episode at all. They were good, they weren't given anything, and it's hard to judge that. Claire was very compelling as a character. Having the angel talk through her was really cool. Jericho getting the angel in his brain. He's obviously going to come back as a main character throughout the rest of the series. We already know that. So that was really exciting. So it's not just the angel thing like as a one-off for this episode. I do know because it's in his head, it's gonna come back. It's gonna. I hope they do what they couldn't do with Amy Pond, which is actually kill off Jericho at the end of the series and have him kind of properly like turn into an angel. Although we have just seen that with the Doctor, so I don't really know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Interesting idea though. I like to see where they're gonna go with that, and I am interested by it. On the note of just the rest of the stuff, I think the Weeping Angels were excellent in this. I love the Weeping Angels as concepts. I thought they were really well done. There were some really interesting ideas there. They used a lot of long shots, long takes to like move the Weeping Angel in that frame without it, you know, cutting away. I thought that was really cool. There was a couple of times that happened, and I was quite impressed. The Angel's hands coming out the cave was really cool. I thought the stuff generally on the whole was actually pretty good, and like I have no complaints there. Like the story generally has its faults. In terms of Maxine Elderton, I definitely preferred Haunting of Villa Diodati. That felt a lot more concise and kept together. So yeah, I don't know, it's a weird one. I'm kind of left feeling a bit lukewarm from this, but the ending was spectacular. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with Belle and Vinda. I'm fascinated to see what's going to happen with the Doctor and the Division. Even though I'm a little bit tired of the Division, this implies that we're going to be going right back. So next week, we're going to have some Earth stuff, and the Doctor is going to be sent back to the Division. Going to meet the Division properly. Maybe Ancient Gallifrey. I really don't know where they're going to go with this, but I'm excited. It has to be said. I am very, very excited. The ending was probably the best bit for me. Not in like a sort of sarky kind of... I think it was what interested me the most in terms of like concept stuff. It's like, what's going to happen to Yaz and Dan? They're stranded in 1901. The TARDIS is in the 1960s, and the Doctor is God knows where, probably Gallifrey or something, with the Weeping Angels. And it's like, okay, and how are you going to incorporate the next time trailer in? Because I think we should talk about the next time trailer, because other people will probably be a bit confused. I think it's fascinating that they actually showed Kate Stewart in the trailer, because I had no idea she was coming back. I don't think anyone really guessed. Everyone kind of wanted it a little bit. But Unit's back next week. Kate Stewart's in the trailer. We've got a new Unit soldier. Like, okay, cool. What has that got to do with this? Like, what's going on there? Like, it's a very big thing to put in the next time trailer, which makes me hope that next week is going to have a lot of exciting stuff. Maybe not another returning character, but I think the fact that they're showing that in the next time trailer is big stuff. Yeah, and I like the note as well when they were like playing the end credits and they sort of hopped between, they sort of glitched out and went to a whole new scene and then came back to the credits. And then the credits music was really eerily quiet as well. It didn't feel like the Doctor Who theme. It felt quite empty and lost, and I quite liked that. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm being quite negative. I'm trying not to be negative because I did enjoy it, but I don't think there's much to talk about. It felt like it had some great visuals, and that's my biggest compliment to it. Story-wise, it was great, but it was nothing new. And you can definitely tell it's not Stephen Moffat writing The Weeping Angels at this point, which is fine, but you can tell the difference. I didn't think we'd be able to, but you really can tell the difference between a Stephen Moffat Weeping Angel story and a Chris Chibnall era one. And it's fine. This worked. It wasn't bad. I think I'm just a little bit coming out of it disappointed a little bit because I was sort of... I don't know was I wanting more or was I wanting something scarier, something that really take me back to being a kid. I felt more scared by the Weeping Angel stuff at the end of the last episode and in episode 1 in a weird way. But yeah, I feel like I'm being critical. It's a good episode. I need to rewatch it desperately, and I'll put my actual thoughts on Wednesday on the podcast. If you're a Patreon, you'll probably get it a little bit earlier, so do check that out. But yeah, I'll try and rewatch it, try and give my full thoughts on that episode around that time. And yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments below that. I'm quite interested. I haven't gone to Twitter or anything yet. I thought it was a really good episode, but I was kind of wanting a little bit more from it. And it's sort of kind of an episode that is great, but has a lot of obvious things that didn't need to be there, and felt that they were just giving excuses. Like, obviously, the thing about the young girl being the old woman and Yaz and Dan. There's some great visuals and stuff there, but a lot of it was kind of just there for the sake of it, just to kind of give them something to do, which is a shame, because I'd rather they be given something good. But yeah, that's that. I think that's all I really want to say, to be honest. Thanks so much for listening or watching or all that sort of stuff. Make sure you check out the podcast stuff, linked in the description below, as well as the Patreon page. I think I like this, but I'm not really sure. It's kind of a weird one. I feel like I've been really negative, but we'll see when this comes out, I guess. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and hopefully see you next week with our review of Survivors of the Flux, I think it's called. So yes, see you then. I'm very excited.